What role does INFERNO play in our FHIR testing services? How does it benefit our clients?
INFERNO is a framework for running FHIR tests. So INFERNO is a standardized framework. It's a suite of software libraries that you can use to test your FHIR implementation. So just like you have other test suites for unit testings or some other sorts of testings, the INFERNO is a standard library of tests that will verify that your FHIR implementation is conforming to a specific standard. And as such, it's a piece of software that you connect to your FHIR implementation that runs the tests and gives you the report of how compliant is your FHIR implementation with the standards. So it's a software library that needs to be deployed, that needs to be configured, that needs to be run, that needs to be maintained, that needs to be constantly run multiple times per week, per month, or whatever is your development cycle. You need to run those tests again and again and again to make sure that your FHIR implementation is always in line with compliance, or in other words, that you are passing all the FHIR tests. And INFERNO is a framework for running FHIR tests. That framework is not a standalone. You need to configure it, you need to deploy it, you need to connect it to your data source, to your FHIR implementation. And you need to know how to do that, and you need to spend non-trivial amount of time in setting up, configuring, deploying, and running INFERNO tests. As a software developer, you probably have better things to do than to run INFERNO tests and to spend your time on configuring and maintaining INFERNO tests and running INFERNO tests. You just have better things to do. On the other hand, it is the library that is used by Drummond and other authorities to verify that your FHIR implementation meets the ONC criteria during the official testing for certification. So it's the same library that's used by ONC, let's say, to verify that you're compliant with their requirements. And we are able to help our clients with setting up, running, configuring, integrating INFERNO with CI/CD pipelines and doing all sorts of other things that are just needed in order to pass this test. And on top of all of that, there is a question of what do you do when you start failing those tests. So you're running INFERNO tests and INFERNO is testing your FHIR implementation, and at some point in time, your tests will fail. You will not meet some requirement for some tests. And then the question is, what can you do about it? Is it a problem with tests? Is it a problem with infrastructure? Or is it a problem with your implementation? Very often the problem will be with the implementation on your end, and then you need to fix that somehow. And that's the other area that Visor can jump in, and we can help you fix your compliance problems. But that's all different story. How can we help you to fix your FHIR implementation to be compliant with the regulations, and you use INFERNO to verify that you are compliant with the regulations.